Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Talk Manga Daily. Today, we're diving into Volume 3, Part 2 of Gachiakuta, covering chapters 18 and 19, titled Hysterical and An Uncommon Front. These chapters are part of the Raiders Trap arc, which runs from chapter 12 through chapter 22. If you've been following the arc or you're new and trying to get your bearings, that's where we are, right in the heart of it. Originally, we thought part 2 would cover all the way through chapter 22, but after rereading and breaking things down, we realized that there's so much material packed into chapters 18 and 19, from character strategy to tactical creativity, that this deserved its own spotlight. So this video is volume 3, part 2, covering just those two chapters. And if you missed it, go back and check out volume 3, part 1, where we covered chapters 14 through 17 and set the stage for everything that's happening in this fight. Quick heads up, there will be spoilers ahead for chapters 18 and 19. We're not here to retell the entire manga, we're here to explore it. So let's jump in. Just a quick summary on how chapter 17 ended before we jump into chapter 18, Hysterical. We open on the cliffhanger, of course, from chapter 17, where Jabber proposed a theory about Rudo's vital instrument, that it can only detect conscious hostility. To test that, Jabber uses his poison claws on himself, and of course, he knocks himself unconscious. And suddenly, this fight becomes something entirely different. Jabber's no longer attacking with intent. He becomes a living wrecking ball powered by instinct and momentum. The visual on the manga panel sells this transformation hard. His facial features distort, his dreadlocks drop, and debris swirls around him as if his presence alone warps the space. And this isn't just a villain going wild. This is definitely controlled chaos. Jabber's not dumb. He's experimenting mid-battle. And what makes this even creepier is the idea that he's probably done this before. Meanwhile, Rudo is forced into pure defense. And for the first time in a while, we see him visibly shaking. He's sweating, gritting his teeth, and thinking not about how to win, but how to protect Gris and Folo from getting caught in the crossfire. Rudo's watching Jabber and he's wondering if Jabber is a masochist or something. And this is where we get a subtle flashback that calls back to his earlier life and on the spear. Someone once called him a masochist for not fighting back. Rudo goes home and asks Recto, what is a masochist? And Recto turns around and says, oh, well, what? Recto didn't have an answer for him. And at this point, the panel goes back to the current setting where Jabber is launching multiple attacks. Rudo continues to have an excellent defense mechanism with his vital instrument, and it's holding up pretty good. Although Jabber attacks are becoming more sporadic and powerful, finally, we see Zanka make a slow paced movement back into the battle or back onto the manga page. And of course, he says, real talk, I feel like death warmed over. Let's just say Zanka is heated right now with Jabber. And he says, sit down, Rudo. It's my turn to give this punk what for. Chapter 19, we have what's called an uncommon front. Just when Jabber seems unstoppable, again, Zanka returns, and yes, he's limping, he's poisoned, but he still manages to shift the entire vibe of the fight with his presence alone. What makes Zanka stands out isn't just his humor, it's his tactical mind. While Jabber used theory to bypass Rudo's defense, Zanka uses a theory to turn that same defense into offense. So what Zanka does mention to Rudo is that they needed to stay away from Jabber's claws. And because Zanka uses a stick, he can use his stick to attack Jabber, which keeps a distance between them and Jabber, but still yet Zanka's stick can launch a thorough offensive attack. Zonka straight up hits Rudo to activate what looks like a recoil motion on the panel, and Zanka rides that momentum, the bounce back straight to Jabber. This isn't just some slapstick moment. It's clean, deliberate strategy. Zonka refines the technique mid battle, tweaking trajectory and timing every time he launches. It's smart, it's reckless, and it's effective. And he rides that momentum to strike Jabber with his stick. So at this point, let's just say Zonka does this multiple times. Rudo isn't quite happy with it because it requires that Zonka goes in to attack Rudo, and Rudo's vital instrument, of course, execute that defense. And Zonka is riding this momentum and laying multiple attacks on Jabber, but it actually gets the job done. And let's just say Zonka is often he's very vocal when he's attacking, and he's like, "I'm gonna pop you one," but he does lay Jabber out, and Jabber hits the ground face down at the end of chapter 19. Let's talk a little bit about character dynamics that's at play here. Jabber is chaos incarnated, but every move he makes is rooted in deliberate theory, at least so far in chapters 17, 18, and 19 that we've seen to test his theory. He's terrifying because he understands the rules and finds ways to break them. Zanka, on the other hand, he's a problem solver. He talks rough, cracks jokes, but in battle, he's observant, experimental, and weirdly scientific. You don't expect the smartest guy in the room to be the one dropping slang and calling people numbskulls, but here we are. And caught between them is Rudo, still growing, still watching, still learning. What's great is that we're seeing how this story develops from what has come before. For example, volume 1 and 2 for Rudo was all about instinct, especially once he hit the pit. But now he's recognizing strategy. He's watching two individuals, Jabber and Zonka, both use strategy and tactics. He's starting to understand his own limitation. Again, he's watching people and realizing that power without understanding isn't quite enough. Here's what stood out to us at Talk Manga Daily. There's a couple of us reading this manga, and one of the things we do agree on is that this fight is a perfect example of why Gachiakuta hits differently. It's not just about who has the flashiest ability, it's about who can adapt, who can turn weakness into advantage. Jabber weaponized unconsciousness, Zanka weaponized teamwork, and Rudo, he's just beginning to weaponize knowledge. We're also starting to notice some subtle world building hints here. The way vital instruments interpret intention, the way Zonka's dialect might point to regional backgrounds, and why the cleaners like him aren't just fighters, but survivors who know how to use every piece of the battlefield. Lastly, chapters 18 and 19 gave us tactics, tension, and a taste of what this world really expects from the fighters. Zanka especially might be shaping up to be one of our favorite characters, not just because he's funny, but because he thinks. He's a mentor, a menace, and a meta player in the game all at once. What did y'all think? Are you seeing the same patterns we are? And if you haven't already, check out our Volume 3 Part 1 breakdown, where we covered chapters 14 through 17 and set up this incredible battle. Next up, we'll be back with Part 3, wrapping up Volume 3 with chapters 20, 21, and 22. Make sure you like, subscribe, and drop your thoughts in the comment. Until then, thanks for watching Talk Manga Daily. Be safe out there in the pit.